The clangs of sword on sword had faded, and the acrid smell of fires was distant to the iron taste of blood in the air. Soundlessly traversing through the battlefield, untouched by mud and shit and gore. Battle, ferocious, honorable battle, had been waged here. A stillness comes with dying, the pain, the regret, the release, the unknown question. Who will come for me? Am I to be deemed worthy of Valhalla? Do I get claimed by the shroud of hell? Or am I to go into the embrace of Freyja in Folkvangr? My chest is heaving from the effort for breath. I can feel the liquid blood filling my chest with each movement, gurgling under the surface of my skin. I can catch a movement out of the corner of my eye, but I don't even have the strength to turn my head to track it. A flutter of a wing, I suppose. The crows come to claim the spoils, to carry the souls off to the afterlife. My body has gone numb from shock. A blessing to be grateful for. The air shimmered with the last warmth I had. The ever-shallowing breaths, the vestiges of my human existence.
Rise, Krieger.
The command was softly spoken, but powerful. A woman's voice. I could not see her, but every fiber of my being rending itself to move because of those two words. Another gurgle. The last of my chest had filled, it seemed. No more breaths on this plane of existence was to be had for me. The panic was in the back of my mind, covered in a shroud. She was here. With what senses I had left, I felt her. My vision was blackening quickly, shrinking into the tunnels of my own demise. She was there, leaning over me, her amber hair grazing my face.
Let go, Krieger. We have a journey to attend.
The cold stopped. The numbness stopped. And warmth like I hadn't felt since I was a child engulfed me. I rose from the gristle and bones of death, weightless. She smiled and beckoned me forward. A cloak of falcon feathers around her body seemed to hover above the ground, untouched by the filth of this world. Her eyes softened something in me, relaxing pieces of my essence I never knew were tense. She turned, and I followed. My goddess had chosen me, and I would exit forevermore in the halls of Folkvangr with Freyja. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Courtney, and welcome back to the Time Travelers Club. Today we delve into the world of mythologies, the amber goddess of beauty, Freyja herself. So before we go into who she is, I think we will need to set the scene just a bit. The gods of the ancient Germans are a bit different than how we expect gods to behave. Instead of a single unified coalition of deities, it is tribal and separated, much like the landscape of the peoples who worshipped them. Now, to make sense of this whole thing, we need to introduce them. First, we have the two main mythologies that we need to talk about. The Aesir. These are the ones who are deemed as militant, mighty, and have many of the characters turned into Marvel superheroes for a reason. Then, we have the Vanir. Think more earth cycles, intuition, the gods over the natural world. I'm sure you can see where this is going. And very, very quickly. The natural world meeting the force of conquest and an enforced hierarchy. Sounds like matriarchy and patriarchy fighting it out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that something else to consider too, and this is a more modern lens. I don't think necessarily this is what they were thinking, but I do find it interesting. We have a lot of conversations today in the modern, early modern and modern era of this idea that nature was a force that needed to be conquered,
Yes.
right? That's also, and like Mother Earth, right? Versus like conquest always comes off as masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I do find that interesting. I don't know if there's a direct correlation there per se, but based off of like, say, America and the history of that, we know that we come from the British and Germans, and the British themselves are descendants of Anglo-Saxons. I wonder if there's some of that, this idea that you need unlike maybe like the Celtic peoples, this idea that maybe formed later of like nature, the ultimate show of power is conquering nature itself.
Yes. And I don't disagree with that. I like that, actually. So there are several other factions as well. The Jotnar, which are more akin to primal beings, the energy of the more primordial aspects of life. They are seen as chaos incarnate and are often strongly at odds with the Aesir because, this makes sense. We've got the order of the Aesir, we've got the chaos of the Jotnar. That typically does seem to be at odds.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. And like, I hate to put the Roman lens of it all, but like I have seen some stuff. I find the Jotnar kind of interesting. So when you look at like Greek text, right? You have like the Titans, and then you have the gods, and then you have like the later gods, right?
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of like scholarly discussion that's been thrown out there about like Titans, a lot of them being like representation of like older deities.
Yep.
And like more indigenous deities. Not always true, like we talked about with Dionysus, but like it's a thought. And like I've seen a lot of that same discussion apply to the Jotun or Jotnar, like the giants, right?
Yeah.
And some of that discussion a little different. Not that always necessarily gods, but like this ancestor worship that they represent communal heroes before German people started, like when they were far more individually isolated. They were never a unified thing. That is some rhymes with Yahtzee propaganda. But like, yes, as like they became more militant and traveled more, and you did have more unified groups of these people, yes, there was some codification, but like sometimes it'd be like a local hero god, ancestor god might be turned into a Jotnar.
Yep. Absolutely. So with that, there are others like the elves, which are actually segregated into the light elves and the dark elves, and then the dwarves, which do read much like any good fantasy game for the most part. The elves being more nature spirits, and the dwarves dwelling in the ground and being the makers of legendary objects.
Well, that's because Tolkien pulled right from this. Like,
well, absolutely, he did.
And he's kind of like the father of like modern fantasy, especially high fantasy like that. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, this is so cool, huh? It's like, yeah, because he literally says, yes, I was inspired by old German and Anglo-Saxon mythology, and like made a world out of it.
And I love that, actually, because it almost gives more legitimacy to it in a way. So one of the great things that interconnects them all is the human aspect of them. These groups fight, but they also entangle. So Loki, who has been obviously adapted into the Marvel universe, is a Jotnar, but he lives with the Aesir. Odin is descended from the Jotnar, but he is the king of the Aesir. Freyja is a Vanir that also lives with the Aesir. So we're really just focusing on that Aesir aspect. The gods of this pantheon are really just the Aesir aspect.
Right. And I mean, and if you think about like the Olympians, right? I mean, Zeus, like, Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Vesta, and Demeter, they were all the product of two Titans coming together, who they themselves were the product of these giant amorphous beings, so it's not completely unreasonable. But yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting because, like you said, we separate them and it's like, oh, the Aesir, and then like the Jotnar, like are like this like chaotic aspect, and they are, but it's like then you go, huh? But wait, isn't he technically a Jotnar
And the
too?
answer is yes.
Right.
So, if you think of them as tribes of people, very much like the tribes that were scattered across Germania, you'll start to see how they can both be at odds with one another and simultaneously intermixing in a way that brings richness to their stories.
As we stated, Freyja is a Vanir, which means she originates from one of the other 9 realms. They're interconnected by Yggdrasil in Vanaheim. So now, unfortunately, we only have scholarly inferences to make when it comes to the nature of Vanaheim, right? Like, it's not like, oh, here's a book, you know, it's not like Egypt where you can just go to the temples and see what they wrote for
Mhm.
yourself if you can translate it. Like, we don't have that. And I'm sure as we're going to talk about, like, a lot of this is coming through archaeology, like digging into like modern cultures and trying to trace back the origins of beliefs and like where they could come from. Old monks who took it upon themselves to say, hey, this is what those myths are of those filthy pagans. Like,
Yeah.
there's no spin here.
No spin
So
at
if
all.
they,
That's very
right. So
unchristian.
like, and sometimes they go like, no one cares. Or you have to remember too, sometimes say like Vanaheim, right? Well, everyone knows what Vanaheim is in that time,
Hmm.
right? We have things like that ourselves where we don't have to feel like we have to explain that world because we already know it because of cultural context. But what happens when that's gone? This. So, but we do, based off of these scholarly inferences and this like connection to nature, we can gather that it was more than likely described as a lush place. Think of like the most verdant fever dream that is was assumed to be it. It gives me like Rivendell vibes from Lord
Very
of the
much so.
Rings.
Very much
You know,
so.
like this. I know there's like a realm for light elves, but from what I've always gathered from the mist, that almost comes off as like literally like light, like more I think like fairy vibes, like with lights,
Yes.
constructs and stuff. But like that, like the stone, but like these things that defy gravity, beautiful, like that warmth, but also elegance,
Hmm.
cozy, but also ethereal. That's the vibe. Um, that's what at least I think of. Um, and my opinions are almost as good as the scholar ones at this point because I know as much as they do. So, like, which is not a lot. So, um, as we're going to find out. So, like I said, there are no solid surviving texts about the nature of Vanaheim. Not even a true glimpse into it, but the very nature of the gods that come from it. That's how we're assuming the nature, right? Like, I guess if like these are all very nature spirity, right? They're not going to be like in a landscape that looks like Tartarus.
Oh God,
You
no.
would think it would reflect their energy.
Exactly.
It feels like that's a vibe. Like if you're like a god of the skies, you're not going to be just hanging out in a cave all the time. You know,
That
like
makes
that. If
no
you are in a
sense.
cave, that's probably bad.
Indeed.
Like that's probably in the story because that was the bad thing. You weren't supposed to be there. But you know, so there is some context that needs to be stated. The Vanir and the Aesir at the beginning of the tale of Freyja are in a great war. All like the stories from what I gathered show this too. Yeah, I mean, Courtney did the writing and the majority of like the actual research for this, but this is just from my own brain, my nerd brain.
Hmm.
I believe that's true. Like
Yes.
that's yeah. Like it always starts with and there was a war. It's like
Pretty much. That is
kind
that
of like the
is what it
Titans,
is.
to be fair, like the Titan Maki, kind of get that too.
I
Um,
think all of them do because all good stories start with conflict.
yeah, it's kind of like one of those. You don't start. a good movie, like usually, and Napoleon was born, it's like if it was like a movie or something, it'd be like you're on the battlefield, all this crazy stuff's happening. How did we get here?
And
You know,
then we
at
zoom it
best,
back. But
right? And in ancient times, in particular, a lot of the time, people, even historical figures, come fully formed onto the scene.
yes.
Maybe get little glimpses of their childhood or something, but this isn't uncommon. It started when one of the Vanir, named Gulvig, comes to the Aesir and is said to have performed a great magic called Satyr. Satyr?
Cedar.
Satyr. Satyr. Now, Satyr itself is said to be divinatory, but also has the ability to turn minds and emotions and change fate itself. Remember how we said the Aesir were very much militant and order and hierarchy? Well, they didn't take too kindly to Golvig showing them her grand magics. Ooh, I didn't know it was a her.
Mm-hmm. Golvig is a her.
Look at that. Huh.
Oh,
I
oh,
already
just
like
wait.
this already.
Just wait, it gets
Yeah,
worse.
I won't get ahead of myself. The comment more just like, huh. So it's a lady, and we're not like it's just so casual. Yep. The person who's going to represent us is a lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not making even a big deal out of it. Love it. Anyway, so they end up taking her and burning her at the stake. Oh, huh. That feels like a big metaphor for this season. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. But unlike those poor, unfortunate souls in the 16th and 17th century, she was reborn like a phoenix 3 times from the flames of the pyre. The Vanir were enraged by the brutality of the Aesir. It also sounds like a really bad time for her. I mean, I'm glad she came back, but like, yikes.
Yep.
3 times. Ugh.
3 times.
For very good reason, they were big mad, and war broke out. This was not a war where either side could win, though. It was a complete and total stalemate. Order, like human bravado, and hierarchy was evenly matched by the wild, natural, untamed abundance of the Vanir. Neither could win over the other, and finally peace talks were had, and hostage exchanges were made. This is where the first mention of Freyja is really made. There is a theory that is floated that Gulvig is an aspect of Freyja. I guess I could see that. Makes sense. And given the similarities, it probably wouldn't surprise us. And I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Freyja, her twin brother, Freyr, and their father, Njord, were all exchanged to the Aesir. And the Aesir traded Onir and Mimir. And like this, it's interesting too. This idea of hostage exchanging is a big thing in these early Germanic cultures. You see it a lot with the Anglo-Saxons. And the Anglo-Saxons, because they're kind of isolated on that island, while the rest of continental Europe progresses, right? Like the Vikings and them have the same ancestors, but because they're separated, they develop differently, from what I gather. And Anglo-Saxons, hostage exchanging was a big deal. Like, if you make peace, you send your son to their court, and they send their son to your court.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hostage. When we think hostage, we think like Stockholm syndrome. It's a little different. Yes, I guess they could be killed if anyone acts up, but like, it sounds like, according to the record, that never really happened, right? It really was a gesture of trying to get to know each other better and becoming like family almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard with our modern lens to really understand it. But I find that interesting that you're already seeing it in the mythology here. So once they were traded over, The Vanir discovered that Honir was unable to make decisions without Mimir's advice and counsel, and for the inability to truly lead, they sent Mimir's severed head back to the Aesir. As one can imagine, does not leave the best taste in one's mouth.
No.
Odin does save the head, though, with his forms of magics. So Mimir stays with us as the advice giver, and that's I remember that from the God of War game.
No, but it's true. That's
Because they just
exactly
have like
what
him on
happened.
like a strap. Is
Yep.
that on a strap? That's just like, oh wow.
Yep.
Huh,
That's what happened to
okay.
Mimir.
I wonder if there's like a deeper thing, like it's like they're like a severed head cult somewhere. I love me a good severed
No.
head cult. There's a cult of the severed head. It's a real thing in a lot of ancient cultures. And I'm like, oh, is this evidence of a cult of a severed head? Like,
Possibly. Possibly.
oh, I love that though. So Freya comes to us fully formed. There's no childhood myths to speak of, no adolescent adventures. She appears married, and though the tales do not specify when, she does have two children named Tanos and Dursemi. Pretty wild overall, but this is where a lot of the scholars believe that she is perhaps part of an older religion and was well formed long before the Aesir were a blip in the cosmos. So being part of a hostage trade sounds like a pretty good time, right? You get to travel and experience new places and live with people who don't like you. Yeah, it does sound pretty problematic. Interesting. It does. I wonder too if this is almost again like this like lost tale, right,
Mm-hmm.
of two cultures where maybe one was a little more matriarchal than the other. Again, all speculation station, but like it would be interesting, right? Like the clash of maybe two Germanic speaking cultures and then them having to like blend. Just fanfic, no
Absolutely.
facts, just vibe.
No, but with how the peoples moved, it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
absolute sense. So now that we know that Freya is an outsider in the society where she lives, let's take a good look at what she is the goddess of. Freya as the goddess of love, beauty, romance, and of course, what comes after a good amount of lovin', but childbirth. She is
Oh,
depicted as
there it is.
being a golden haired or ambered haired beauty, curvy and supple with blue eyes, and dressed in flowing robes cinched with a corselet, which is quite literally a battle armor corset.
Oh,
So she is ready at all times.
huh.
And
Interesting, because I
then
feel like a lot of like the romantic, like like the later like 19th century paintings that come along, right?
mhm,
They always depict her as like very fair maiden, right? Like
mhm,
flowy outfit. Maybe if it's cinched, it's like with like a belt, like a literal like fabric belt or
mhm.
something, but not like battle. I find that interesting.
Oh yeah. No, we'll get into it. Then there is a necklace that also has a legend about it, we will get into in a little bit. There is a mention of a cloak of falcon feathers as well that allows her to shapeshift into a falcon. So we can see a bit of an Aphrodite esque archetype here, but wait, there is so much more. Being the goddess of all things love and beauty, there is a flip side to this. She is also the goddess of war, death, and magic, or cedar. As you can see, Freya is a very multifaceted being. She has the human aspects of love, pleasure, and procreation, but she also has the fertility and abundance of the land. Here's, look into Demeter.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of everything, she is also involved in the deaths and the afterlives of humans involved in war. She is a very, very busy lady. I'll put it to you this way. There are 3 choices of afterlife in the Norse mythos, and Freyja picks first. She has a lodge house, similar to Valhalla, called Folkvangr. After a battle is done, she has the first pick of the fallen warriors. The other half go to Odin. Now, Folkvangr works a little bit differently than Valhalla. You're not just waiting and feasting and brawling to be at the ready for Ragnarok. In Folkvangr, you're joined by your partner in life, your spouse, your lover, and you're able to exist in peace.
Well, that's nice.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it comes off as like you did so good. Like maybe am I reading this right? That like essentially it's telling me like you did so good that we don't need you to continue to practice. We know you're good. Chill out. Kick your feet up. Relax. Also, here's your spouse. Isn't that nice? Like
It is.
like,
It is. Very much
yeah,
so.
like I find that interesting.
So, I mean, like realistically, what do you think you would prefer to pick? You're training endlessly for the end of the world, exist in happiness and ease with your partner, or go to Helheim? Which it sounds scary to those that have been indoctrinated by the whole Christian thing, but it is described as a place that is quiet and misty. It's solemn,
Mm-hmm.
but not torturous. Helheim is actually the default for non-combatants. So realistically, in hearing of the 3, which do you think you'd choose?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, Courtney. But also, I find that interesting about the Helheim thing too, because you have the same problem like with Tartarus, like in like the underworld and like Greek mythology, right? Like, of course, like you think of like, oh, it's a shitty place to go and blah blah blah, and it's really kind of like not how it's depicted. It's like the mythology expands as Greeks interact with more people, but like at its baseline, like it's for most people just you go and you kind of just exist. It's like you said, foggy, blah blah blah. And I just, I'm not saying like the Greeks and like of it all or the Romans of it all. Yeah, like no, but like 2 different cultures could come to similar conclusions for like your non-combatant people. However,
Absolutely.
like it does where it does connect is like you said, the Christian lens
Very
of it,
much so.
because they're so inspired. Like when you think of hell, right? Clearly the word comes from here,
Yes, it does.
but like the visuals are more Tartarus. Even right down to the names of like you in like Dante, you have like Styx and all the rivers and like right. So like the fire and brimstone of it all. I would say like the lowest circle maybe is inspired by like this concept of hell being cold, but like
just
even
solemn
then,
and quiet. Stuck with your own
yeah.
thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So on we move to a different aspect of our multifaceted goddess, her marriage. Freyja is married to Odur. He is god of the summer sun. So we have fertility and abundance happening with the sunlight, and we all understand that this is the natural growth cycle, right? This is spring and summer. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Just a question. I know you're going to probably get into some of this. I know, and I'm not going to jump into it. But I know one person, I guess with the letter O, it could sound similar to.
Yes.
But then I saw the part about the summer sun, right? And we know she's a hostage.
Yes.
Okay. And that Odin, like that O one,
yeah,
has a little baby boy named Balder. And this is Oder. And then is Balder the god of just light in general, or is he a god of the sun?
He is a god of the sun, but Oder is a god of the summer sun. The difference with
Okay.
these, like Njord, her father, is actually he is a god of the sea, but he is a specific god of the
Hmm.
sea, where he is a god of like the abundance of the sea, soft
Okay.
waves, where it's kind. It is abundant and
Is
flowing.
that
It
the
has
same?
nothing to do with like the storminess or anything like rough and savage.
Yeah. Is he the one who gets married to Scotty?
Yes, he is.
The like the yeah. Okay. Like that we did something on that. Going to be a Patreon episode. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was just like,
So
oh, wait a minute though.
no, and that is a fair question with Balder and Oder, because Oder, he is that specific element of the summer sun. He is where the ground is warming and everything is happening. Where Balder, he is just the sun. He is radiant.
Yeah.
The
I
sun
mean,
all year
and
round.
it's just, and that's a whole different rabbit hole.
Indeed.
Balder very later becomes like very
Very Jesus.
Christianized, very clear, very Jesus-esque, which
Yep.
makes Frigga, his mother, who comes off very merry, and she also wears the
Very, very
blue.
merry.
So it's like it's interesting. I do, and like we have to remember who's writing all this. You
Correct.
know,
And there,
so I just
while
find
there
that
are
interesting.
parallels, we will get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we never get to see in the Eddas or poetry or any of these things about their courtship or the marriage of the two. When she comes over from Vanaheim, it is just assumed that the marriage happened over there. So with their union, we do get to see Freyja's grief on display. Oder doesn't like to stay very long in one place, which, being what he is the god of, makes a lot of sense. They are in the
Mm-hmm.
frozen north, and the frozen north gets very dark during certain times of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So the summer sun doesn't like to linger for too terribly long. So when he doesn't return home, Freyja, our beautiful goddess, is distraught. And she wanders around looking for him. And as she is wandering and trying to find her love, she is weeping. The rocks are said to soften and take her tears into themselves and hide them away where they solidify into nuggets of gold. The sea is said to take her tears and they become the amber washing upon the shores. Everywhere
Hmm.
she travels, in her grief without her other half, she is laying this trail of precious minerals unbeknownst to her. The earth is also grieving with her. The plants are not growing and producing. The fertility of the crops is just not there. Freyja is traveling far and wide, trying to find her beloved, and finally, she sees him in the Southland. That darn summer sun traveling south for the winter. Now, she was so ecstatic to see him as he was sitting under a flowering myrtle tree, and Oder was so happy to see his wife as well. But he had not thought of how lonely she was up there in the frozen north and how isolated. But instead of the one too special I am certain I would have done, she ran to him and rejoiced. And from his place in the Southlands, they walked hand in hand back to the Northlands, bringing spring, new life, and fertility once again so that the cycle may begin anew. On her way back, with Oder by her side, Freyja is said to have worn a garland of myrtle, which is why this is actually a tradition of northern brides.
Oh, that's nice. Is
It
this
is.
like a one? Is this like a one off, or is this
No,
like they're explaining this is what happens every single year?
this is what happens every single year.
Interesting. I feel like he could have gotten to the same. We could still get to the same conclusion if he's like, okay, after that first winter, he decided to just bring her with him. So then it's like she brings the fertility with her. You know, like it's like funny. It's like nope. Every year he just abandons her ass,
I
and
know
every
this.
year she finds him under this tree. And
I
she
know.
never gets mad about it.
And
You would
she
think after a
never
while
gets
she'd get
mad
tired of
about it.
crying at least.
You would think,
Like every
but
year,
no.
like you're crying, bitch. Like you don't know where he is, bitch. Why is it taking you even so long to find him? It's always in the same place.
You know
I
exactly
love
where
that for
he
her.
is.
It's a beautiful story, and I know it's just meant to be more of a metaphor. I was just like, that's funny.
Oh no, it's fucking
It's like,
hilarious because I'm more like I'm bringing a frying pan. I'm beating his ass. Like, what the
yeah.
fuck?
Well, I mean, at least like with the Demeter stuff, like, like the whole story of like, essentially like Demeter is big pissed because, or sad or whatever, because Persephone's not there.
Yeah.
And then when Persephone comes back, abundance comes back. At least that makes sense because she's like, I don't have to like it. It's not like she's like, where'd my kid go every single time? It's like, well, she's down there. So until she comes back, I'm hanging out here.
Exactly. No, Freyja
Like the
is
first time it was real big bad because she did it for too long. But like it's like every time after it's like, okay, let's like simmer down. Let's do it where everyone wins here. Like,
exactly.
except for humans. But
exactly. No, but Freyja, her poor little sweetheart. She just Oder wonders, he is the wanderer, and she is wonderfully in love with him, like to where it doesn't matter. She's adorable. I love her so much.
mm-hmm. So something else I noticed too, though, is like this is a great story because it's not like she went down there and he was fucking abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not sowing his wild oats, shall we say. I was won't lie, fully expecting she finds him and he's with some other lady under a tree.
No.
Yeah, like
not at all.
And it's not
He's
like
just...
that. Or like that, oh, he went off and did man things, while and it's like, oh, but like no, it's just like he was just literally just doing his job. He wasn't doing anything, he wasn't going south to do something naughty, He's just like, this is my thing. I gotta keep on the move because otherwise everyone will burn, and that's not cool. Like,
well,
and she's just like, oh, I'm just so happy to see you.
He seems so
it.
lackadaisical. Like he seems kind of like Oder strikes me as goofy. Okay, he seems a little absent-minded, a little bit. He's a wanderer. He just kind of walks and just like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, squirrel. Just like
it feels nice because I feel like after the Greeks and the Romans, you have so many gods who are just jealous of each other because they're messy. And it seems like at least the Germanic ones, even if they are promiscuous, right? No one's butthurt. And like they're soulmates, right? It's like, this is who my heart belongs to, if nothing.
Absolutely.
And like, and so far in the story, it's just like, I love how unproblematic we are. I love that's like a man should love his wife and be happy to see her and not being doing some problematic thing. Like, and she's not just some jealous lady who's hell-bent on revenge. I love this.
I know. Now, we really didn't think a goddess of love, fertility, and childbirth wouldn't have kids, right? So we have 2 daughters, Nas and Gersemi. Now, Nas, she is believed to be the aesthetic embodiment of beauty overall. Her name translates into jewel or precious thing, which is fucking adorable, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is about all we know about her. She is only mentioned to say that she is one of the daughters of Freyja, and that's about it. In terms of cultural influence, there is one thing to mention. All beautiful things are called Nosir, so related or belonging to Nos.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't need an elaborate story. Sometimes it just doesn't need to be problematic. Like, yep, she's the daughter of the goddess of love, and who's a pretty lady, and she's just unproblematic doing pretty stuff.
Shit.
And like, like, okay, like that's it. That's fine.
Very much.
The Romans and Greeks have similar shit, but they're usually problematic. It's like, you don't have a lot of story about like Ares' children, fear and panic.
But they are also like, fear and panic.
They're just there. They're just there, right? Yep. But they're fear and panic. They're not something nice, like versus like the goddess of like not even beauty so much as like that, like youthful beauty, right? Ends up getting raped and like forced into a marriage at some point. And then we kidnap a young boy to replace her.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I love a non-problematic daughter of beauty.
Indeed. Now, Gersemi is much the same. Her name also translates into treasure or jewel, but she is the other side of the coin. She is grace and inner beauty versus aesthetic. Not to say that she isn't beautiful. Obviously, she is. But she is the embodiment of charming natures.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like you got charm and you've got beauty, you know?
Mhm.
Some people are very charming and maybe not conventionally, quote unquote, conventionally beautiful, you know, but yet somehow you feel a draw to them, right? Like there's like, you know, we hear that all the time in history where they're like, she's not described as conventionally pretty, but like I guess you could use Cleopatra. Don't love that example, but you could use that example, I guess. You know? Yeah, like sometimes you're just, you know, that person where I guess if you're just looking at a picture, knew nothing about them, you might be like, eh. And I hate an idea of a rating system, but you know, versus like that, like that bitch don't even need to say words. She just goes into a room and everyone just looks at her. You know, like there's different kinds of beauty for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So together we have two very beautiful girls, and that is all we know of them. They are not mentioned in any of their own Eddas or mythos, only in that they are related to their mother and that their mother is happy when the family is all together, which is very understandable. It almost feels like a celebrity mom able to keep the kids out of the spotlight, though, which is giving, you know, like, I want to know more, but at the same time, I respect it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we don't need a Michael Jackson moment where we're hanging, you know, our beautiful daughter from a window.
Let's
you
not
know?
do that. No. Oh,
Right. You know,
and also,
not problematic.
Also, Gersemi, I had to dig to find her because
Mm-hmm.
Nos was the only one that was popping up majority of the time.
Well,
Gersemi
I
is
hate to
only
say
mentioned
it.
like rarely.
I hate to say it, but like people shallow. There might be like the value, a higher value on just this, you know, someone who's just conventionally attractive. Unfortunately, sometimes we see that now. And even like sometimes where it's like, okay, fine, like me almost being apologetic, like they're not conventionally pretty, but they have this charm, you know, like I shouldn't have to apologize. Like, why are we so shallow? You know? And like we almost have to like refrain from saying like, and you know, I guess even in your head, you're like sometimes, you know, you do wish you didn't have to pick either or. It'd be great to be both, you know? It's like, but like, why do we place so much value on beautiful things? Because of our monkey brains. Who knows? But like,
Indeed.
also also inner beauty only applies to like humans versus it sounds like the other one's just beauty in general, like a pretty rock, a beautiful scene, a beautiful person. You know, like if it's literally in your word, everyday wordage, you're going to probably see it more, you know? Like, this is so beautiful and this is our goddess beautiful. You know, like I could see it. But I love that. I love a non-problematic family. We're very happy about this.
We're so happy.
So we discussed her roles in fertility, the changing of the seasons, romantic love, and even the afterlife. But what about her magic? Where does that come in? So glad you asked, hypothetical listener. Magic here is called cedar, and it comes from within. Now, I need to warn you, this is not considered a manly thing to wield. And to the point that a man doing so is considered very taboo. We will actually be discussing this in a future episode, where I discuss, well, I did the writing for that one, but we will be discussing theorists and magic in a couple episodes. So we won't get into much of the weeds with it, but it's just know that that's likely why it was demonized so heavily. Cedar is a woman's art. It involves going into a trance state through chants or singing and being able to prophesize or change the path altogether. This is considered something socially risky overall. being able to talk or invoke spirits is not typically seen as a normal thing to be doing.
I mean, that makes me weird, but
I mean,
I
I was gonna
accept
say
my
even
weird.
no, and that's fine, but like that's a good thing, like to bring up, like even today, right? And this is a time and era where people don't even, at least it's not considered like dangerous because most people like go like, oh, well, that's a bunch of, you know,
Hmm.
and at least you're safe because people don't even believe that there's a harm to it. Now, put yourself in a time
Hmm.
period where people believe there is that it is real, and you're weird, like
Yeah.
right. Um, so like that, and it's like been a tale as old as time with this kind of thing. So, um, and even by the standards of that and an age, um, hell, even amongst the gods, this is something that was seen as something to start an entire war over. So the fact that Freya is not only using this ability, but she is also teaching it is honestly pretty wild, pretty damn wild. Um, See, the leader of the Aesir, Odin, had a proclivity to try and acquire all the knowledge. I mean, it was literally like he just wanted to be a know-it-all. It's literally in his name, the All Father. Like he's not hiding it, I
Yeah.
guess.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
he's not subtle about the fact that he wants to
no,
know everything, which
yeah.
is why he disturbs me.
I mean, I guess I can respect the person who at least isn't like trying to hide what they are. Like I mean, the thing is like I have like I'm a person who also loves knowledge and to seek it and collect it, my nerd little brain. Like I think it's like, how are you going about it?
Very much so.
It's like you're coming at a place of respect and understanding the the context and things that are within it. Or are you trying to seek and utilize that knowledge no matter what that cost is? And willing to do anything to get it. I would say, am I willing to do anything? Sure, if it came at my own risk.
Hmm.
Like I mean, like an example, like if I was in Egypt and like, oh no, there's all these scrolls and like the temple's slowly sinking. Oh, I'd be thinking for a hot minute, should I go back in? But um, would I send some like, oh, this person has knowledge of like their culture and they don't want it getting into white people's hands. So do I tie them to a chair and beat the living piss out of them until I get what I want? Just for the sake of got it? No.
I should hope not. I should hope not
Right.
because that
But
is
that's
that is
the
very
but
colonizer mindset.
and that's the thing. That has been a tale all too familiar, right?
Fully agree.
And also the idea of hoarding the knowledge where you won't share it with anyone else either.
Hmm.
And that's also a problem. It's the ivory tower of it all. And
Mm.
I think that knowledge, if you want to learn everything, that's fine. I mean, goals, if I was immortal, probably. But like, also, I would want to share everything with everyone, like, to within reason. Like, like
Within
maybe,
reason, and
maybe
that needs
I
to be
don't
stated.
share all my knowledge on biochemical weapons with just anybody. Maybe I don't, but like,
I mean, I should hope not, Brandon. I should
but like, if
hope
there's like things that
not.
are going to better society, like, and that's the vibes that like in a lot of these tales, like the gods do. It's like, oh, we have knowledge that humans would be doing great, but nah, we like to see them struggle. And you're like,
I mean,
oh,
that's
that's
fun.
right. So back to this though. Um, as Freya is getting accustomed to her new surroundings in Asgard, because she's a hostage, um, she is of course being ostracized for practicing satyr, and so and at the same time this man is trying to also learn it. It's so backhanded. It's like in public we're gonna demonize it. Oh my God, you savage. You're doing this? But then, like, behind closed doors, like, for real, could you show me how you do that?
Exactly. Like this is one of the
It's
many
also colonizer
reasons.
mentality.
This is one of the many reasons that for me and Odin, it is on site with this fucker.
And and there's other stories sometimes that portray it, and this is like where it's the Christian lens of it. I don't know, but like, because there's stories where it's like he super respects her, and that's why she gets first dibs, and like, it's so, as a historian, hard, and like it could be truth that for one area versus another, and like,
Well, obviously.
but like, in most of the stories though, like, she is kind of ostracized. She's othered, not always in a vicious way or anything, but it's like, oh, that's Freyja. She's that weird girl, but she's hot and alluring. There's something about her, and it's
Kind
like,
of, yeah, and it's just like that's the weird lady that cries gold. Like,
yeah. And it's like, again, it's like, why does she do all that? It's like, well, to be fair, you told her she had to live there. And then you're complaining
yeah.
about her living there.
Yeah.
So, but in any case, in the grand scheme of things, though, like I was kind of alluding to, she's on equal footing with Odin. Um, that is until she's being used as a bargaining chip, right? And some of that too is like, is it the Christian misogynistic lens of it all? Or is this like a reflection of like maybe the Germanic beliefs at the time? It was not egalitarian. I feel like women in the society were probably better off than many, like as far as maybe even like Roman women or something like that. It depends on like what era you're looking at. Like Anglo-Saxon women, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Alfred the Great himself made it like, it's like they codified that crap where women couldn't inherit, couldn't do nothing. You're supposed to just sit there and be pretty. But like that's not all German peoples now, is it? So like, if we're talking about ancient Germany, and then versus like the Viking Age, like, yeah, we're seeing more and more like their graves that, oh, they must have been men. Nope, it's like a 40-60 split. It's almost 50-50, and you're like, oh,
And he's referring to warriors, by the way. Like
yes,
these are
yes,
people that
not
are
magic users,
warriors.
not magic users, not that, not at all. Totally different thing we're diving into another day. But like warriors, yes. And women, like warriors and like Anglo-Saxon who are also Germanic, hell to the no. They would rather die. And yet, even within that, you have like the Mercians where they do have these strong, badass lady queens. So it's like, like even like to a degree, like what county are you in? Like,
I mean, in order to have a county, you would have to have a state, and they did not have that. So
it's just my point that like none of it's a monolith, right? And
none of
so
it
the
is a
reflection of
monolith.
how Freya is portrayed, highly reflective of this, what people want to tell. My point is that in many parts of like German society, like Germanic societies, there was this place for women to be strong and voice their opinions, which again we will talk about in a future episode. But I'm digressing. So Satyr is not the only type of magic that Freya had in her possession. She also has items that allow magic to happen, not just for herself, but for others. For example, she has a cloak of falcon feathers that allows shapeshifting, as was stated before. But here's the funny thing. It was never mentioned that she uses it herself. In fact, the only one that seems to use it was Loki when he borrows it from her to locate Mjolnir. Thor's hammer that he's constantly losing, which weird that Marvel gets that accurate. Like he's just always losing that thing or it's getting stolen.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
God.
hide the
It's like
hammer.
got the power of a nuke, and you're just like losing it all the time. Anyway,
Indeed.
it's horrifying. like, but
That definitely
so
is a horrifying thought.
you're like, right, like they always portray as like this is the hammer of the gods, like this is like it could destroy civilization, and they're just like, and he lost it again, and it got stolen again,
Again.
and then like Loki, the god of deceit and fuck around and find outery. Hey, could you go get that back for us? Like, yeah, no problem. Like, you literally had anyone else. Honestly, Freyja's cat would probably not fuck you over as much as Loki will, but whatever. I always find that funny too. But it's like, whatever. And yet she's the weird one, like crazy lady. Well, anyway, so another piece of apparel that holds magic, but is definitely less clear on like what it's supposed to do, question mark, is the Brisingamen necklace. So now we do have a story about how this is obtained, but unfortunately this is one that may be really, it's the one that demonizes Freyja's character. Buckle up, it's an explicit rating. If I don't know why you're listening to this with children, but if you are,
please don't listen to this in front of your kids. We say fuck entirely too much.
Brandon's about to get real vulgar. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's choo-choo trains and not the kind that the neurospicy are into, okay? Well, I mean maybe, but like
no,
yeah, baby. But it's not that kind. So we're about to get into it. Now we have to remember that the prose Edda, which came much later, was not written by someone living in the religion at the time, but by a Christian monk in a monastery. So, like, the Christian monk of it all.
Yeah.
They're not out to make the really pretty witch lady into a sympathetic character that you want to be like.
No.
Like they might be like, they're not like actively like making her like evil, but they dumb her down. They make her a dumb bimbo. They bimbify her.
They do bimbify her a lot, actually.
I mean, a lot like Brian Gnome. Brian Gnome's made a cameo in this episode somehow.
With the balloon titties.
Yes. Good for him.
Bimbification.
But the point is, right, this necklace, Brisingamen, Freyja's necklace, was made by, the story goes that it was made by 4 dwarves. Here we go. This is how good parody porn starts.
God.
So anything made by dwarves is going to be powerful, according to the myths, right? Like, just like, I mean, again, we kind of brought it up earlier, like, J.R.R. Tolkien, like, the guy who wrote all of like The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, all that, right? Tolkien was heavily inspired by a lot of this, right? And like, so if you're imagining dwarves from Lord of the Rings, you're on it. You're good. It's the vibe, right?
It is.
And another thing, the Silmarillion, which is also in the Lord of the Rings, shiny, sparkle jewelry, like that, also kind of mysterious. Like the powers, kind of just like, I mean, it does stuff, but like it's very vague. But like all the gods of that universe want it too, including the bad ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I can't help but feel like there's a similarity there. But
I think that would be very, very possible.
Yeah, and like in particular, like there's, and it's been a while, but like there's like in the movie Lord of the Rings, right? You'll see like the vial with the light, and apparently that was the light of the Silmarillion, which the Silmarillion contained like a reflection of the light from like the original sun and moon. So it's like a reflection of a reflection, and yet it was still beautiful. And Galadriel, heavily Freyja coded, yeah, like that's powerful magic lady. Like who's like lives in the wild, but also like super refined and like a part of nature. But she's also an elf, which is also a different thing. But whatever. And she's also immortal. But the point is like heavily Freyja coded. So back to this story. You got four dwarves. They've made this necklace. These are the same people who made the nuke for a hammer, Mjolnir, giving you a rough idea of how talented these guys are. Like I said, with this story though, for Sigmund, we don't know what the exact powers are actually. They just go, it's magic. That's it. We know it's not just pretty, it's also technically magic. That's it.
It's magic.
Like, is it magically pretty? Does it do something?
Does it enhance powers that are already there? We don't know.
Does it make you hotter? According to this story, does it get everyone horny? Who knows? We don't know. The point, apparently that wasn't the point. So, but the story goes that Freyja, I don't know, I'm just imagining her like, I don't know, going down like a cute little street and there's like dwarves in a shop and it's like, ooh, look at that pretty necklace in the window. It's like Tiffany's, like, and she's like, oh, that's hot. Want it. She's Ariana Grande. She's like, I see it, I buy it. I want it. I got it. And, she's got the high ponytail and everything. And so, and then there's dwarves. So, when she saw it, she's like, I have to have it. In the original stories, from what we can gather, she offered the dwarves her favor in exchange for the necklace. That's it. Not to do a favor, but like, her favor. Like,
it wasn't a hey, Mr. Postman.
Like, if you give me that necklace, I guess I'll owe you a favor. No. Like, you will have my favor. I will look upon you favorably. And whether that means she's just like, yelping it, like, these people, love them, 5 stars, highly recommend. Could be something like that. Could be a boon. Could be a whatever. Be careful with boons. Sometimes they backfire. The point is, like it's like genies and wishes. Not in this context. The point is just, he just simply offers her favor to them. And they go, cool, beautiful, tall lady, have this necklace. And she's like, thanks. Also, I have a cat. Bye. And so she's off. That's the OG. Unfortunately, we have the Christian fanfic, okay? Ugh. Where they decide to add some details, where she is offering favors, apparently. So, in the later tellings, they did go there and said the dwarves all demanded that they spend a night with her. And she apparently agreed, and in 4 consecutive nights, she paid up for the necklace.
That's so gross.
Now, here's the thing. I don't want to shame anybody. No slut shame here. If it was in a position of, like, look, I really like that necklace. And they're like, here you go, pretty lady. And then she's like, you know what? Y'all cute. You want to come home with me? And I'll take you too. We love a queen. Okay? Like, rock on. Okay? I mean, it seems consenting. No one's at the same time too. So it's not like someone's like, hey, either us or we're going to kill your brother or something. Like, I don't know. Like, like she can just say, nah, I don't want the necklace. I'm good. No one's holding her hostage. It is a choice. And at least I'm going to give her that.
Yes.
I don't like this version of the story. I'm just saying, at least we have that. And that's what we're going to run with, because I want to outmaneuver the old Christian monk that's been dead for 1,300 years. Like, I turn it around on him. There.
Indeed.
She's a hoe, and she has autonomy. Screw you. So.
You just go for what the
fuck? You know what? If she, and that's fine. We all have. I've had my hoe era. We all have. Don't act like you haven't. It's fine. Don't let anyone shame you, boo. Because you know what? You a goddamn goddess, and they're lucky to have spent a night with you. Anyway, the point, they were like, please take this necklace. It's the least we can do. The point is, this all very much reeks of trying to knock down this powerful goddess, right? By having her sell her body for trinkets, for baubles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like we said, the earlier myth never states what was given to anybody other than her favor. And that does not mean sex,
No,
right?
it doesn't. Now, Brisingamen becomes the symbol of Freyja immediately. We don't have much of a description besides that it is luminous and glows and has jewels. So really let your mind run free and imagine what the most beautiful necklace is.
I mean, or just imagine the Similarian from the Lord of the Rings, and like because if you have no imagination, and you can just Google it. But like,
Indeed.
yeah, right. But I mean, still, five.
So another of her magical objects is a boar that she rides into battle, Hildisvini. Apparently, he was originally Otar the Simple, a very devout follower of Freyja, and for his loyalty and to conceal his identity, she turned him into a luminous boar companion for her. Apparently,
Badass. Love that. Love
I
that for him.
know. Like,
You know, not like this
some.
isn't a Cersei story where she's just turning dudes into pigs, like without consent.
Mhm.
This is a you've been cool, boo. Let me turn you into a badass glow in the dark battle pig with tusks. And he's like,
With tusks,
"Ah,"
but also is like huge. You have
right.
to
And
think
he's like,
if she is literally riding this thing into battle,
mm-hmm.
he has to be gargantuan.
And he's like, bet, love that. Also, my name is Otar the Simple. Don't love that name. Thanks for giving me a cool name like Hiltisvini. It sounds like Houdini or like some cool like magician name. We love that.
Indeed.
And these men are just happy to have her around.
So apparently she rode him to also awaken Asirus' ability. And there is in fact a parallel here with her twin brother Freyr, as he has a luminous boar as well.
I won't lie. Sounding like people be tripping, and I love it. It's like imagine you are tripping on the best concoction. You're living your best CRS life, and you just see this beautiful ethereal lady. Maybe she naked, maybe she not, riding a luminous battle boar,
Oh my
and like that's
god.
awakening your abilities, and it's just like wow, that's intense. That's a very like trip coded image in my head.
I could see it.
It's
I
also
could
very
see
metal.
it. It's
It's like
super metal.
it's like giving Scandinavian metal. Love it.
Fuck yeah.
She just
Oh
needs like
my
a
god.
sword, and her going like, "I got the power."
I mean, the thing is, I think she would. I think she would. We already have the corselet, damn it. We already
Yes,
have, like, half armored.
yes,
Like, where's
yes.
the fucking helmet? Where's the fucking sword? Like, come on.
Maybe tits out according to this whole dwarf thing. But you know what? Cool. Love that for her.
No, we don't have things that are tits out. That is not in any of the myths. Oh my
Damn.
god.
Are you telling me that's the Roman or Christian lens of it all? Like, I feel like a lot of the Roman statues
Exactly.
I've been looking at show all these dramatic ladies with their boobs out, and I'm like, it's gotta be cold up there. That seems like counterintuitive, but like whatever, Romans.
Indeed.
Like,
Indeed. And of course, I could never forget the absolute favorite form of magical transportation, the chariot pulled by two gigantic gray cats.
I love this. I
Yes.
mean, it's
It's everything.
Mark Antony. Freyja did it first. Hate to break it to you, bud.
Yep.
And that's his cameo for this episode. Like you didn't. I bet you didn't have that on your bingo board that Mark Antony would somehow make an appearance in an episode about like the Norse, like Germanic goddess of magic. But here we are.
Ta-da! So the fact that she gets two cats to listen to her is proof enough of superior magical abilities, in my humble opinion. Take
Hmm.
that, Odin.
Also,
Now,
take that, Mark Antony. Like, 'cause
indeed. Now, unfortunately, because once again we are talking about Freyja, we don't actually have any mention of the cats' names and specific legends around them. It is just
It's Boots.
assumed that this is her default mode of travel unless she is going into battle.
Their names are Boots and Mittens.
Okay,
They're right there with.
submission to the lore. It's Boots and Mittens.
There's, she's got her necklace. Brizigamen. She's got her battle boar, who used to be called Otar the Simple. Now it's Hildisvini, and then you have Boots and Mittens, and they're like horse-sized cats. Like not cats that are like built like horses, but cats that literally like your house cat blown up to the proportion of a horse, and that's it.
That would be terrifying.
It's terrifying, especially knowing cats. Like,
oh my god, the human population would be the mice very, very quickly.
It would be gone.
So we did want to take a look into the theories of foreign origins for Freyja, especially because she is an outsider in the community that she occupies. The act of seeing the similarities is normal pattern recognition, but I do want to take a moment to state outright. These are theories. We do not condone the conflation between the gods and goddesses of different pantheons because, of course, cultural context is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So first up is Hades and Persephone. Of course, this one comes to mind when we see how she is functioning as the goddess of spring and fertility. Oder being the flip side of this, however, him being the god of the summer sun versus the god of the underworld, but it still functions very much the same. Obviously, there is so much here that rhymes but also differs. So while we do find the parallels in the changing of the seasons and the return of the fertile ground, the why is different. Then we cannot forget the role that Persephone has in being the literal queen of Hades. She has that control over death as well, which people seem to forget. So in the goddess of life and death, Freyja has the distant cousin, possibly 8 times removed, in Persephone. Not the same goddess, but certainly fulfilling a very similar archetype.
I would also like to point out that Freyja had a very healthy relationship with someone who was not related to her. She was not, in fact, kidnapped and sexually assaulted by her uncle.
Oh, yes. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And held against her will until she was forced to eat his quote-unquote seed.
Oh.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
I like Lore Olympus as much as and the next guy, but, just putting that out there.
You had
he had to rewrite
there.
some shit so people were not related. Because otherwise it's very problematic. So, whereas this was just like hey. That's the one thing. People try to romanticize the Hades Persephone thing. And I'm like, there's other myths, bro. I get it. It's life and death, and yet they fell in love. But really, it's gross, and she's dominated. It's literally called the rape of Persephone.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's the idea of, this constant action of her gaining her virginity back just for it to be taken away each time, and this vicious cycle, and I'm like, there's just like Freyja. She has just this guy who can't stay in one place for too long because the ice caps would melt, and that's a bummer. So he knows his role, and he's like, I gotta go south, bye. And then every year she forgets where he went. I don't know why, but that's fine. She's got some dementia. We still love her, and and then she cries, beautiful amber tears, giving all the people of the North Sea, an economy to thrive off of. And then she finds him again under the tree, and he's not cheating on her, which we love. He's just hanging out waiting for her. And then they're reunited and they're happy. The end. No problematic stuff there.
Indeed.
No uncle rape. Love that. So, the next goddess that we're going to talk about is Cybele, There's a lot of different ways you could pronounce it. I'm going to say Cybele because that's just how I know it. So the goddess Cybele is another character that has come up a lot in the readings as a possible inspiration for our grand goddess, which, do keep in mind, does try to make her a lesser offshoot. Don't love that.
No, do not
Which
love that.
makes nope, it just doesn't make sense. Um, yeah. So Cybele comes from modern day Turkey or Anatolia, however you would want to put it, right? Um, but was adopted by the Greeks, the Hellenic Greeks, and then brought eventually through, the Greek colonies there, to Rome and merged with maybe their own mother goddess into literally Magna Mater, which is like Big Mama. We love a Big Mama.
Mhm.
So who then, of course, watered her down to make her Big Mama. So she is a huge deal overall. But that does not mean she's greater than. Cybele is seen also as a goddess of fertility, but it's a different kind of fertility, right?
Mhm.
The Artemis at Ephesus is a great example of this. The multi-boobied lady. Fun fact: they're not boobs; they might be bees, which I feel like is worse. But anyway, bee larvae. But the point is burrowing into her flesh. But the point is,
Ugh, why did you have to give me that visual? God.
because I was given it and I can never unsee it. I was happier when they were also 100 boobs, okay? Because at least it was fun. It's uh, they're baby bees and they're in her flesh.
Ugh.
Where she is spawning them from her flesh. But that's also a reflection of this idea of wild, that she does not need a man to generate life, which the Greeks and Romans do the big scary, because like if a woman doesn't need a man, what's the point of a man? Think hard about that.
Mhm.
That's why us gays are also feared.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, so but she's like this aspect of fertility of the wild, not agriculture where it's tamed and controlled. This is so much more, right? Um, and her worshippers are said to have been using ecstatic rites. It sounds on the surface very similar to how Seder is described. It's so different, and we're going to get into it. But if there's a parallel, it's simply in the sense of like what the feminization of men. But yeah, so she also has a lover in the stories that she is mourning, which follows the cycles of seasons, but the outcome is very different. Sibley's lover isn't really even her lover. She is obsessed with him. So it's just like stalker vibes, right?
Very much so.
She's into him way more than he's into her. There's this huge power imbalance, and when Addis, the guy, goes to marry a human woman, Sibylle drives, and he's immortal, drives him mad, and it causes him to castrate himself, aka make the fields go barren. And then he dies because, that's pretty wild. Probably wasn't very sterile. Yes.
Mhm.
So that doesn't exactly sound like our girl Freyja, now does it? So here's the thing. This is actually going to be a big thing later. I would love to cover this someday. These priests, right? Would this is a whole thing. There's actually the emperor, like the trans emperor, was like a follower of this supposedly. It's a whole thing. But like these were men. Romans try and make it like, oh, they were just crazy and castrating themselves. Like this was no, this was sacred. It was the idea that this was a sacrifice they were willing to make, but also a choice, right?
Mhm.
Um, Also, the Temple of Artemis sometimes did this, but in Ephesus, but like the idea of self trans, and then they would also adopt like feminine clothing, and potentially it's like unclear, but they may have called themselves like by feminine pronouns or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it sounds trans, tell me to stop. So, right, it's more complicated than that, but like, and when we talk about it later, like in a later episode about Cirruses and magic, you're going to see that that's not quite the same thing that would be going on in like the Germanic cultures, right? If a
Mm-hmm.
man was performing magic, they're not like castrating themselves. It's not a requirement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different vibe. Very, very different. But in the myths with Cybele, getting back to that, she is so brokenhearted that she ends up begging Zeus. Ugh. It does read colonizer. It's like this great goddess of the continent begged our god for help. And
Exactly.
and you see this a lot with Zeus myths, unfortunately. And like that's kind of like there was a mother goddess at this location until it was colonized by the Greeks. Anyway, and he makes it to where Addicts never decays. Not back to life. Just doesn't rot.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah, it's giving serial killer. Collecting bodies vibes. It's giving Ed Gein.
What?
Nipple belt.
No. Oh no.
And well, in her case, maybe she's wearing like the testicles as like earrings. I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. It
You
also
know what?
gives like,
I've seen enough truck nuts. I really don't need to see ear nuts. Oh
oh, I love
my
that.
god.
See, that's great. She like, yeah, she just has the like bronzed like.
Oh no.
I mean, so historically, I was thinking of like Christina of Sweden's mom does kind of like this with their dad, the king of Sweden, when he died in like war. And he's brought back, and they like embalmed him. She just like kept him in her rooms for like a year.
Ugh. Gross.
Also, I think
Gross.
his heart was turned into a lamp. But anyway, it's giving Ed Gein because that's the more like famous reference right now. So our girl Freyja doesn't exactly have this problem. So while she does have cycles of the seasons, her love is restorative and instead of manic or obsessive. Now, one of the fun parallels is that the chariot pulled by cats. There are stories of Cybele's chariot is in fact pulled by lions. Another callback to the certain gold chariot thief from last season. And also, that was intentional. They're portraying him as like, oh, look at him adopting barbarous ways. And we talked about that last season. That was actually probably one of the earliest. And that idea of also, therefore, he is effeminate,
Yep.
which is the worst thing you could be as a man.
How dare
God
you
forbid.
have any kind of feminine qualities as a man?
Meanwhile, it's totally cool that, Daddy Caesar can wear his, kinky red boots. No
I
one bats
fucking
an
love his
eye.
kinky boots. Oh my
But
god.
like,
I
why?
still need to
But like,
get
whatever.
some.
I know. I
Jesus.
still to this day imagine like either like Rocky Horror or like Patrick Starr with the high heels on. Like, I love that image. It's like full Caesar, like like balding with like the cuirass and the toga, and then like it's cropped though like to the knee, and then like from the knee down, it's just like very modern red kinky go boot, and
Oh, God. Fucking
I love it. I love the image so much. So especially since it's to the goddess Aphrodite, and you're just like, there's no
yes.
way it wasn't a hooker boot. There's no way.
It has
No
to
way.
be.
Right. So love that so much. Anyway, so again, we have stories that follow similar motifs, but there are huge aspects that are missing. Cybele is missing that war, violent aspect, right? I mean, well, I suppose she's violent, but in a turn you into a lampshade kind of way.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
A little bit
Um,
different.
and she is missing the death aspect in the sense that I mean, death is prevalent in this particular myth, but like, she's not like a psychopomp or something,
Correct.
That's not like her realm, right? Otherwise, she wouldn't have had to, have like this fun like body pillow shaped like her boyfriend. Seems like, you know what though? Good for her, because I'm tired of these women in these stories being like the non-consensual ones. Good for her. That man had no consent. Good.
No, no, no,
No. Damn,
no.
Brandon.
That's Brandon. Oh my God.
I'm just
No.
tired of it. You know what? I go on and on about how these poor women never get the consent. And you know what? No, it's time for some of these gross men to get a taste of it. Oh my God, does that seem scary to you? Good. Good. Stop doing it to ladies.
But they
Anyway,
weren't the ones that were.
that
Oh
makes you
no.
understand for a minute. Oh my God, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Good. Because you seem totally fine with the 100 and bajillion myths where it happens to a lady. Anyway. And she's also missing that love aspect, at least from it's very one directional. And while she's a goddess of fertility and the divine wild force of nature, there are intricacies that just don't fully make sense if we are going to float this theory that this is where Freyja supposedly came from. So now we're going to pivot. We're going to make it maybe a little more wholesome. I don't know, maybe not. Isis is our, you don't think we were going to forget about her, right? Because she's a magic goddess too, right? Here
Yes,
she is, Isis, making a cameo. We're getting cameos. We got Julius Caesar with his boots, Mark Antony, Isis, Brian Nolan, his balloon titties. Like, a lot of guest stars today.
lots of
We
them.
got
Oh
another
my
one.
gosh.
We have like my favorite one about to come up. So anyway, so she so the loyalty to her lover and the use of magic is really connecting a link here, maybe, right? But there's also protecting those in death as well. While they have, and like, Isis does in a very Egyptian sort of way, kind of act as a psychopomp too, right? Along with her sister, you could argue.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this idea of protecting those in death as well. While they have different ways of doing so, Isis guides the souls through the afterlife and acts as a benevolent divine advocate for the souls as they go through judgment. And Freyja, with actually providing the home or a place in the afterlife where these people can live. Both act in the best interest of the souls and as divine protectors. Now, we do see the parallels here with life, death, rebirth, with their lovers as well. Though the traveling back hand in hand to bring spring is a whole lot less traumatic than putting your husband back together like a fucked up jigsaw puzzle and giving him a brand new golden dawn. And the dawn is like my favorite cameo. What? Come on to say, Golden Dong. Glad to see you again. It's been a while. And I just have like this idea of like a gold dildo going.
No, I need it on a t-shirt. Hello, Golden Dong. Nice to see you. Just
It doesn't speak words. It just goes. And we're just go. Oh yeah, it's great seeing you too. Like we understand it. Anyway, it's so funny. I love that so much. It evolved greatly this episode.
oh God. It's late.
But they
This
do.
is this is this is our fault. This is our fault.
This is our fault. But they do. But they both do search far and wide for their partners, determined to bring them home. But with unfortunately Isis only being able to have him for a moment before they're separated forever by the veil of death. Which does make me very sad in a way, Um, but we discussed it last time. The Egyptians have a different concept of death, and like it was very healthy. Like she got that last chance, and she was willing to let go because they both have their roles.
Yes.
Whereas Freyja probably would not have been as cool with that. So maybe not Sibylle crazy, but who knows? So they both utilize magic, right? But it's in different ways. Isis is more in the way of healing and protection, like charms and amulets and stuff, right? While Freyja, not that they didn't use those, but Freyja's is more of like this idea of reweaving of fate and desire. It's more intuitive. It's not like, oh, I have scrolls and this is the spell. This is like, it's in your gut, It's more feeling. At least that's,
yes.
I'm not a witch, right? I have a cultural understanding of it in general and the nuance. So that's where we can really look at these two and see massive differences. I mean, other than maybe complexion, like, I'll be honest, And if anyone tries to make Isis like a blonde white lady, like, come on, stop. Anyway.
Correct.
Anyway, Isis is never seen as a goddess of, well, I mean, like, unless you're going through like a Greco, oh, we're gonna merge her with Aphrodite lens. Like, she's not like explicitly like a goddess of love and magic. That's more Hathor, or like, sorry, love and romance. That's more Hathor's domain, right? Honestly, you could almost make that connection in a way. Like, Hathor is about sexuality and war, and she also turns into Sekhmet, which her breath is literally a nuke that can wipe out entire peoples and drinks the entire river's worth of blood. But anyway, that's cool. Love her for that. But she also likes to dance and have a good time.
As she should.
And like wear pretty things. Yeah. So like it's actually funny. I'd almost say there's more of a connection with her. But Freyja, like as I was saying, Isis is also not she's not really a war goddess. She's a goddess of protection, but it's more political. Does that make sense? Like, she is the throne, the power behind the throne, like a guide, not a like, oh, I'm actually gonna like open a can of whoop ass on anybody. That's Sekhmet's job. But Freyja definitely is. She'll open a can of whoop ass. So while they do have some characteristics that mirror, I just think it's pretty clear that they have plenty that make sure they're not, to make sure they're highly individualized and they're a reflection of their respective cultures. Because here's the thing, guys, like, there's no conspiracy theory here where it's like, oh yeah, and this is proof that white people were the ancient Egyptian ancestors. No, gross, stop. What are you doing? Like, it just means that we are all human and we have a shared, there is a shared experience. We all experience love and magic and death and all these things, and we can come to similar conclusions, and our symbols can be similar, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be that complicated.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. You can fulfill a similar archetype, but not be the same thing.
It's like, oh, that's the origin. The white people from the north, when they were Atlanteans. Stop.
Please stop. Get some help.
Right.
All right. So last but certainly not least is my own patron goddess, Inanna. So I am completely biased on this one. The similarities here are very striking. Both are incredibly passionate, goddesses of fertility, passions, war, and power. Inanna is the queen of heaven in the Sumerian pantheon. While Freyja isn't seen as the queen overall, she is on par with Odin in power, so even though it is never stated outright, the placements are undeniable. As a goddess of love and fertility, Inanna is unquestionably that, to the point that there are cuneiform tablets where she is supposedly asking her lover to quite literally plow her vulva.
Oh.
There is no shame in this goddess in the least. And
nope.
In comparison, Freyja seems quite tame.
Unless you believe that whole Christian monk story. But you know what? Again, we love it. Rock on. I mean, like, if it was like Inanna like style.
We'll flip it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll flip it.
I mean, But yeah, I mean, most of the stories, not that intense.
No, they really aren't. They really are not. So, like we stated earlier, the original poems don't actually say anything about Freyja doing anything sexual with anyone other than her husband. That part was added later by a different author. That doesn't take away of her sexual agency. It just does make getting to the heart of the myths a bit more complicated due to the demonization of her by good old Snorri. Now, Inanna actually does end up casting aside her partner Dumuzi, because he does not mourn her disappearance and death when she descends to the underworld. He seems to be doing quite well in her absence, even taking up residence on her throne. I mean, I would also be pissed.
I
So,
mean,
because,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. If I was hanging by meat hooks in the underworld,
yeah.
you don't need to keep my chair warm, bud. Like, what you doing?
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
would
It's
so
like,
pissed.
excuse me?
Excusez-moi.
Excuse me?
Pardon?
Pardon?
Excuse me,
Excuse me? And because
sir?
she needs to have somebody take her place in the underworld in order to remain on Earth, she has Dumuzi take her place. She's like, all right, you're doing so well in my absence. You get to take my place.
Good.
So
There are
we,
some stories, I
yeah,
think, where I remember, though, and it's unfortunate, like, they also don't want him down there. So,
yep.
like, they end up, like, taking the girlfriend because, yeah, he was also boinking someone while she was hanging from literally meat hooks. And, God, it feels like very Ed Gein this today.
Very much so. But
My
Dumuzi,
God. And,
Dumuzi is a piece of shit. Like, I really don't like
yeah,
Dumuzi.
but I also feel bad for that girl. It's like, oh, here's this random girl that no one likes. Like,
Indeed.
damn, girl. Anyway,
Indeed. So we do have the cycles of the seasons here. Dumuzi has to go to the underworld for half of the year, as he should, and gets to come back and bring fertility with him in the spring. Very similar to our girl Freyja's ventures. But a bit more dramatic because Inanna has a flair for fabulousness of her own. The main difference is that Inanna conquered death for herself, while
well,
Freyja
try to. You know, that's how she
tried
ended up on
to.
meat hooks.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you go through the myth, she actually planned everything beforehand. She knew she was going to be stripped down at each gate. She knew what her sister was going to do because Ereshkigal is a nasty bitch. And she knew exactly what was going to happen. And so she set up her own resurrection because she knew she was going to die. And she did it
I
anyway.
mean, I mean, some of the stories though they make it like they're like, "Oh, sorry, man. Before you go through this checkpoint, it's like TSA style. Like, we're gonna need your boots. We're gonna need your pants. We're gonna need your top." And
Oh,
then she just shows
absolutely.
up like naked at the end. She's like, "Come at me, bitch!" And then like the rest of your girls like
Exactly.
knocks like one hit KO, and then like I'm like, she was dead for a minute. Freya didn't die for a minute. I'll give her that.
No.
Like, sorry, I was dead for a minute. And then my boyfriend's just like cheating on me and like sitting on my chair, and it's like shitty. You didn't even try to help.
No.
Dumbass.
No, he didn't. Now let's talk about the magic between the two. Inanna and Freyja are both highly powerful goddesses. The main difference is scope. Inanna can manipulate the bigger picture, influence armies, other gods, even the cosmic order of things overall, while Freyja has more of the personalized approach, compelling desire, changing specific fates, seeing the future path and altering it. The scale may be different, but the impact is very similar. We're just talking big picture versus specifics, which is not a bad thing in the least.
Mm-mm.
Now, being both goddesses of war and certainly the other side of the coin from love, but not unfounded, Inanna is more in the fray, commanding the battles and directly influencing political power, while Freyja is influencing the hearts of the warriors and gathering the fallen she chooses for her hall after the fact. Both are indirect but influential, cementing them strongly as goddesses of war. Obviously, there are numerous parallels between the two of them. but it doesn't mean that one originates from the other. They just fulfill a very similar archetype. Frigg is the most controversial one that comes up, as Freyja and Frigg have been heavily conflated into one being. This one pisses me off, actually.
It's like, not that it pisses me off. It's so much that, like, that is just taken as fact, right down to, like, it's in God of War, like the video game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like we have talked about this off Mike, like, it's not impossible. It could be something as simple like that. There were societies that maybe had a similar goddess and it did break apart, or it could be the exact opposite, where it was later people just kept conflating the two because they had similar roles. It could have been a regional thing. Oh, who knows? It's the fact that it's like someone floated the idea out there and it's just taken as fact.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of holes in the story when you actually scratch the surface.
There really are. So, the theory has been put forth that Frigg is the married name of Freyja, when we have already confirmed that Freyja is already married, and it is not to Odin.
And I would say one reason for this mix-up is a similar story written by a Christian monk of it all, who portrays Frey as a dumb bimbo again, and like where she's Odin's concubine.
Yeah, no.
And it's like, it's the only story that ever really portrays her that way. It's definitely not of its time, but like, right, and people just run with it, and like that, maybe that's why they're like, oh, she was the concubine, aka wife. No, first of all, that's not even the same thing. But second of all, like, it's the only story that ever makes her out like that, period. Meanwhile, you have whole myth about her trying to find her man. Like,
exactly.
Who's
it
nothing like
makes
Odin.
no sense.
Like, you're like, oh, like, and this guy's like the god of summer. Like, nothing in common with Odin.
No.
Totally chill. Like, no.
So Frigg is the goddess of marriage, motherhood, and domesticity. She is married to Odin and is seen as the queen of the Aesir, taking care of the home and making sure everyone is okay. Frigg is also said to have powers of foresight, but she does not share them.
No, I mean, like, she shares like her prophecies with Odin, maybe, but not like, oh, I'm teaching people. Like, no.
Exactly.
There is some very romantic depictions, and like those of the original story, like where, yeah, like Odin and her both have a throne at the highest points of of Asgard, and they can look upon the universe together. It's beautiful, and she's a goddess of like stars and the celestial heavens, and like, right. I mean, it's beautiful, and like, respect, cool, but like, that's not the same thing as Freyja, who's
No,
very earth.
it's not. So, other than their names starting with F and their husband's names starting with O, I'm really not seeing much in the way of similarities between these two. They control different aspects of a woman's life and how she lives it, so they have to be the same person, right?
I mean, that's like saying Mary, right? That's like saying Mary, Queen of Scots, and Marie Antoinette were the same person. They were both women who began with the letter M, and like men hated them, and they ended up getting killed.
I know, it's stupid.
Same person, though.
Pisses me off. The conflation pisses me off. The only true similarity is that they are both fertility goddesses. But one is for the process of motherhood, and the other is just general fertility of everything. The plants, the trees, the animals, and the people. My theory on why these two are being conflated is simple: conquering a wild element. The idea that the passionate wild nature of Freyja is subdued and matured in Frigg. Freyja has to be one of the most interesting and very misunderstood goddesses. The writings on her are few and far between, and though she has all of this power and ability and even reverence, she somehow fades into the background almost like a tree on the edge of the woods. And that is where we will leave it for today.
If you like what you heard today, please give us a positive review on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. It goes a long way for us to appease the algorithm gods and get this suggested to others just like you. The more we can connect with our fellow history nerds, the more we can build up a community and keep the show going.
Also, we have a Patreon where you can hang out with us and get exclusive content, like videos where we might try to make some ancient recipes, talk about topics that couldn't fit into the main arcs of the podcast, and just generally being batshit and dumpster fires, all for the price of a latte per month. Research materials and books cost a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time to create this show, so anything that you can provide would be a huge help.
We can't wait to see you again next week. And as always, thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.